Sawata, welcome, brothers and sisters, children, creatures everywhere. We're going to do this one more time. The first video for the 34th chapter, the book of Numbers. In it, we're discussing the boundaries of Canaan. In the previous video, I just deleted. This wasn't too many holes, so let's try this one more time. All right, we begin as we do with most of what Moses has written, with our Lord speaking to him, saying, I want you to command the children of Israel, and you will say to them, when you are entered into the land of Canaan, and it shall be fallen unto you by lot, as we discussed previously, in possession, it shall be limited by these borders. So we begin with the south side. The south side begins at the wilderness of sin. As we discussed it, chips through here quite frequently, which is beside the territory of Edom, all this land, Edom. And it shall have towards the east side, of course, the Salt Sea for the limits. Right here, the Salt Sea. Eastern edge, eastern border, southeastern border. The most Salt Sea is also known as the Dead Sea. And this is where we started off in Genesis, where 5 to 6 cities, probably, maybe, perhaps more, were demolished, destroyed by QUI EST, which included Sodom, which was the wealthiest, and Gomorrah. Sodom was the wealthiest by way of Lot. All right, continuing on. The which shall compass the south side, ascending of the scorpion. The Agrabim Mountains. Agrabim Mountains. It's also known as the Scorpion Mountains. Why? Well, because there's a slew of scorpions there. So Agrabim or Scorpion Mountains is right about there in the southern tip. The veil for the northerns, for the Salton Sea. And there they shall pass into a place called Senna, which reaches south as far as Kadesh Barn. Right, so Senna, up here, and goes as far as Kadesh Barn. From whence the frontier shall go forth to a town called Adar, and reaches as far as Asamona. The border shall go around about from Asamona, which is about over here, as Zamona, and goes roundabout to tap into the Egyptian river. The river of Egypt is this right here. And the torrent of Egypt, or the Egyptian river, dumps into the Great Sea. It's also dubbed the Mediterranean Sea, but it's so called the Great Sea because out of this blessed hallowed land, this is the greatest sea, bigger than the Kinneret and of course the Salt Sea. All right, the west side. West side's pretty easy because it begins from the Great Sea, which forms its limitations. So the eastern boundary of the Great Sea, the beach is a shoreline. It's pretty easy. This forms the western boundary of Canaan. From south, from the Egyptian river, or the torrent, all the way up towards Lebanon Mountains, Lebanon River, which we'll get to shortly. All right, speaking of which, the northern boundary. It begins from the Great Sea, reaches into what was known as the High Mountain, or Libanus mountain range, right over here, the Great Sea to the mountain, the Libanus Great Mountain, about over here. From here comes, the border goes over towards into Emoth, as far as the borders of Sedada. Emoth and Sedada. So Sedada would be over here. Whoa. It's not working very well. Sedada. And Emoth over here as well. The frontiers shall go as far as a place called Saphona, and then into the town known as Enon. Enon. It's forming all this northern boundaries of Saphona. And Enon. These shall be the borders of the northern part. From thence that shall mark out the boundaries which goes towards the east. And that begins from the village of Enon unto Sephama. Right up here, Sephana, forming this eastern boundary here. From Sephana, the bounds goes down to a place called Rebla, where there's a fountain known as the Daphne Fountains. And there's lots of names to it, but we will get to that as we progress through the liturgy. From thence, it goes eastward, a little bit off here, goes eastward to the Kinneret Sea. So Rebla, the fountains are over here, to the Kinneret Sea. Kinneret Sea. And the Kinneret Sea, of course, reaches as far as the Jordan River, and at last shall be closed, following the Jordan River all the way down to the Salton Sea, forming the eastern boundary. So it's pretty clear in the south with the Egyptian River and the Scorpion Mountains and the Sin Wilderness. The western boundary is pretty delineated as well with the Great Sea. Most of the eastern boundary is pretty determinate with the Jordan River, the Salt Sea, and Vale and the Kinneret Sea. Up here in the northeast, it gets just a little bit choppy, but for the most part, we have the Libanus Mountains and the Lebanon River forming it. And this, ladies and gentlemen, children, creatures, forms the land by the boundaries thereabouts. Territory that QUI EST is given to the descendants of Jacob, Canaan, Israel. And Moses commands the children of Israel, saying, "This shall be the land which you shall possess by lot, which our Lord has commanded to be given to the 9 tribes and to the half tribe." Now, for the tribe of the children of Reuben by their families, and the tribe of Gad, we discussed previously, according to the numbers of their kindreds, and half the tribe of Manasseh, so that's 2.5, have taken their portion already. And remember that is, it's over here. They've taken it over on the eastern side of Jordan, so outside the boundaries of Canaan. So we have half of Manasseh, and we have Gad, and we have Reuben. That's why we say 9 tribes. 10, 11 and a half. Manasseh's half and half, 12. The other half of Manasseh's would be on this side. So there you have it. For now, we will stop this. And we will next discuss what our Lord says to Moses regarding to dividing the land. And we have some names to throw by. So until next we meet, hopefully this is a better presentation of the boundaries. Forgive the previous. Till next we meet, Pax Vobis.